Moving on to the next one this is a new functionality that we have put on ConnectALL. We call this as trigger events, workflow orchestrations. The main function that we have on this is like, based on certain conditions, we wanted to perform certain actions. That is the fundamental idea of bringing up here. And we had a customer use case wherein we wanted to trigger certain events on an end application. And ConnectALL so far doesn't support this, going and triggering an event on applications. That's where this functionality came into picture. And the whole idea of workflow orchestration is like you define it, you schedule it, and you monitor certain tasks. It can be a synchronous task, it can be a synchronous task. Based on certain conditions, based on certain order, we'll be able to do certain actions. That's a whole idea we have. But as part of what we have implemented in Q1 and what we are doing it is between two applications, Octane and Tosca. The framework we have written is in such a way that it can be expanded to all other adapters, all other triggers, whatever is available on the applications. But we are opening it up only for a limited adapter, for limited audience. That's how the implementation is being done for now. The way ConnectALL acts is like it acts as a middle, basically an orchestration layer. You can perform some action based on some action, some event that's happening on your record, trigger some action, right? Do some trigger that has to happen on the destination system. That's a whole idea that we have on this. The MVP we have is like between Tosca, Octane, and it's like end-to-end automated workflow of between Octane and Tosca is what we have done. So when there is a test suite or a test manual that is being created and that gets synchronized, we can do an automatic execution list in the Tosca side. And once the automatic execution is of those test cases are completed, it'll actually generate a report. A report is a set of evidences, and ConnectALL will be able to, trigger to do that print report and wait for the print report to be completed, and then ConnectALL can gather that print report, grab those reports and send it to the respective test suite or test case into Octane. So this is a flow that we have done, and this is very specific to for one of our customer who asked this flow, and we have done it for it. But as said, this is a enhancement that we wanted to keep building based on all the use cases that we are getting in future. So before even we start with, there are certain things that we'll have to, certain configurations we have to do it on the end application, especially for Tosca. The print report is not a default settings. So to do print report or print report to be active on Tosca application, there are certain steps to be followed. We have gathered those information also in here. So when we talk to customers, if print report is not coming up for them for some reason, we have given them the steps how to enable that print report on the Tosca, which is captured up in here. And as said, the basic use case that we have is like automatic test execution and result reporting. This is one of the use case we are solving with this functionality as a whole. So for this to work in, like we have the ask is to create like 3 different type of automations. The first automation will be like it'll start with Tosca, basically like it gets initiated from Tosca. Say you have a test case created in Tosca along with the test steps. We'll synchronize it. We'll have an automation that will synchronize with the manual or the test manual in Octane. And in Octane, we create a test suite for all these test manuals. And this test suite, along with the test case, right, it will get created as an execution list. So once this synchronization is happening, in Tosca, once the test execution list is created, Tosca, there's something called test event. So usual practice, what they do is like you have an execution list. From the execution list, you copy it or you drag and drop it into a test event, and it's on the test event where all this execution happens. Like the test cases are all executed from the test events, and once the executions are completed, there is a results that gets generated. And from the execution list, you will see an option that says print report. Connect will be able to hit this print report automatically via your automation and generate it. Let me go and show how the rules are being set. Let me open up my automation. So these are all my Octane to Tosca automations I've created. The first automation I'll have is between the test case and test manual. The second automation is test suite and test execution. So in this test execution, it is in the execution list. Once the execution list gets created, it is from here my trigger needs to happen. I'll open it up. So as said, we are introducing a button in here that says configure rules, and this button will come up only if one of your adapter is Tosca. Between Octane to Tosca, Tosca to Tosca, or any other application to Tosca, we are enabling this. But if it's not Tosca, this button doesn't come up. We have kept it under a configuration for now, a custom configuration, which I'll walk through once I have this done. So once you open up the configure rules, in this page, you'll be able to set a set of rules. So for example, the way we have captured the customer's actual ask in here. So the way the customer does is like in Octane, they have a Boolean value. They have a Boolean field, like, any field which can be set to true. So this execute test case it's a custom field that we have added. Let me open up the test. This is Octane. So we have an custom field that is being added to this Octane, which we have done it for this particular workspace. I named it as execute test case. It can be anything. And then since it's Boolean, it is more of yes or no. So I go in here and I say, like in Octane, when my execution test case is set to true. So when this gets set to true in Tosca, before this rule is getting, there's a sync that's already happened between test suite to execution list. So whatever test suite you had in Octane, it is created execution list in Tosca. So once the execution list is created, and then that execution in Octane, when I mark this test case to be executed as true, right? In Tosca, it goes and executes the test case. I'll show you how it looks in Tosca. It goes and triggers this execution list. So execute test case is actually a button click. So once you do that button click, it has to execute it. Like say, for example, you have 10 test cases added to that, or 10 steps are there. It'll run one after the other. It'll mark it as passed, failed. That's a Tosca's behavior. It does the executions. And ConnectALL should know whether the execution is completed. So the next sub rule, so this is a sequence that you have to give. Once this is completed, like the sub rule we have is like in Tosca, that same execution test case, whatever you have done here, right, you're marking it as is equal to completed. There can be various states in which this execution case can be. For example, it is failed, you can do some action. If it is errored out, you can do some action. If it is completed, we'll go with the positive flow. Once it's completed, then I need to trigger in Tosca a print report. Print report is an action that is available on the execution list. So we'll have to trigger this action, and this action basically brings, this is again whatever Tosca that ConnectALL is having today. This is a configuration that we have. So this is again configurable on the Tosca side. So print report generates couple of evidences. So it can generate just a execution entry, or it can generate execution entry with actual logs, all the issues reported. So there are multiple ways in which it can execute. And if at all the customer has got, a specific report that they have, you can just remove this and you can add your own custom report that the customer is having, right? You can even go ahead. We have kept it as a combo box, so you can even type in, that will take into the precedence. So now you select this. So once the report is clicked, you'll have to wait for the report to be completed. So ConnectALL have to, because it all happens in asynchronous mode, right? We'll not know when it is completed. We'll have to know when it is completed. And once this condition is met, like I can actually get that evidences from Tosca, whatever evidences that Tosca has generated, it will be streamed in as an attachment to Octane test suite. So it will get into the test suite. And once the flow is completed, whatever Boolean value that has been set, I will have to change it back into false, so that next time when you want to do a run, you can again come back to set it to S and it will do a cyclic flow. Probably, a little tedious effort that we have to do this, because it's all sequential. You'll have to have certain actions to be done for certain conditions to be met. That's why we said, like, we are supporting this more only for this particular use case, for this particular customers ask. We have resolved it in this, but it can be expanded to multiple other functions that we have. And none of these fields that you set here, or mappings that you do here, need not be the same as a field mapping. So if you have anything on field mapping, it's not that only what you have on field mapping can be done over here. Configurations will be different from the field mapping that you have. I'll quickly show you how the Tosca looks like. Probably many of them would not have seen Tosca. Whoever knows. I'm not able to show the end to end because Tosca usually takes a lot more time to open up. So showing it in a demo will be difficult, but I'll show you a record how the synchronization has worked. We'll be able to identify like how it works. So for example, this is my Tosca. This is one of my or the test suite that has gone into as an execution list and then completed the action. So if you see in here, when I triggered it, it would have started with a S, and then it has done all these actions and the attachments are getting generated in here. So you'll be able to see all the attachments that comes in here. And once the flow is completed, we'll be able to set it back to no. Let me open up the Tosca. So I'll tell you where the execution basically happens. These are my test cases and this is my execution list. So if you see in here, I'm talking about this automation. So here, if you see, there will be an option that says sprint report. This is what ConnectALL is automatically hitting the sprint report and trying to get these reports. And execution sort will happen here. So if you see in here, there is a action that says execute now. So ConnectALL, based on our configuration, is hitting this execute now via our automation, and then it does all the complete executions. Once the execution is done, from the execution list, we'll be able to generate the print report. So we have explained up like, how your automations needs to be, the three types of automations that we are talking about. We have explained to you how we wanted to give these settings to solve this particular problem. All the settings and everything we have added in here. And we have also added this into our documentation step after step, what needs to be done. And how we have to configure, all those details have been given in here. So as said, we are only solving for one particular use case. That doesn't mean that it doesn't work for others. It will definitely work. One another thing that I wanted to call it out is like we have also put a watch trigger. There is all possibility like, it runs for hours together, right, without completing it. And if you want to abort that activity, we are putting a property in ConnectALL.property where a default time of 10 hours is given. Say for example, you're running your regression suite, you're running your smoke test. Probably smoke test can get completed in 1 hour or 2 hours, but a regression suite may take like 8 hours or 10 hours. So if things goes beyond, and we have given an option so it can abort, and then do a retry again. And all that retry, synchronization, everything we have kept it with our synchronization process itself. So for that, there's no change. So this is what we have on the workflow orchestration.